Whereas, for the record, I'm very glad that multiple STs of this game have stolen my standard introduction for scenes. I feel, in some way, validated. But welcome to the exciting scene in Unmask, Orlando. This evening scene takes place in a lower income area of the city, that place where it would not be uncommon to see people shooting heroin or, let's face it, we're in Miami, crocodile on street corners,
Orlando,
except
not Miami.
I they are the same place to me mentally. No, Orlando, my apologies. Um, we find ourselves centered on a large disused warehouse. This warehouse probably at some point was used for some kind of produce packing, maybe meat or some other kind of more um, low grade visceral. It is entirely composed of that corrugated iron that you see, corrugated iron and stone. However, inside you hear blazing music pump as lights of all different shapes, lights of all different spectrums blaze through windows. This is an illicit, an illegal, an underground rave. Individuals have been informed of this through text message or through observing various different signs set throughout the city to keep it covert, hush hush, hidden hidden. As you step inside, there's a bar. People are dancing, gyrating as the sounds of hardcore Japanese J rock and J trance play over the speaker system. And in the center of which the center of the dance floor, there is a large pit that has been constructed. Inside of which you see two pugilists making ready to, shall we say, begin the pummeling of one another as the crowds scream on. And with that, we shall have our introductions.
Oh, okay. Since everyone is scared, um, a very strange sight, even for a place like this. Um, it looks like father and mother is have gone to this place and brought their daughter along, which it looks weird, even with the music. Although the girl, the small child, has what do you call them? Earmuffs on that you have on a construction site to shield yourself from the music. She's wearing two of those, so it looks as though they're, well, at least caring for her ears not being damaged, but mm, still, this very, well, shady place is not really a place for a child, but there is one.
I suppose Storytale will go next. Kind of out in the wings, waiting for his turn, stands a man who stands about 6'4". He is not quite large enough for the huge size merit, but he is a very large man. And absolutely ripped muscularly. But there is something ever so slightly off about this man. His eyes give off a glow in the darkness. I did not feel like editing the photo, so use your imaginations.
Next, we have the other mage. Jason.
Uh, Damien has been using the different contacts that he's been working on to finally, for the first time in his life, to manage to get to a genuine rave. He got himself some fitting wide-rimmed, well, at the bottom of the legs anyway, wide-rimmed trousers that were very popular at the time. And he's got small earplugs in to protect his hearing from the throbbing music. He seems to be enjoying himself fine enough, and is basically dressed mostly in raver gear, having a good time. So far, nothing out of the ordinary has really appeared to him apart from seeing the fighting pit, but he's planning to have a look at that later.
I had to step away for a few. Has everyone done their introductions?
Yes.
Everyone but you and Austin.
All right. The club itself, as I said, jives and pumps. The music hitting you as it does. It almost feels like it's vibrating into your bones. From one end of the makeshift warehouse club, you see the doors open, and you see a cadre of figures entering. One of them is dressed as is shown on my picture. He has a very disinterested look in very, very pale eyes as he glances around the room. He takes up position in what essentially amounts to a rather, it's not a high chair, like the chair is not disproportionately big, but it's in a kind of a commanding place just in front of the fighting pit, with the whatchamacallit, with the with a number of very heavily tattooed security staff who are basically buffeting people away from the chair until it was occupied. And he just continues to look down into the pit as two people begin to senselessly beat each other into a bloody, bloody pulp. I'm not sure if Austin has returned yet.
He was just supposed to be refilling a drink. I'm surprised he's not back yet.
Maybe he had to go all the way downstairs. But yeah, as you guys notice, by the way, you'll notice throughout the club, as the two men begin to fight, people start to write things on large chalkboards on both sides of the ring itself, basically denoting the fighting odds. As to who these fighters are, no one's exactly sure. They're probably just, local people, local individuals who wants to carve a name for themselves. You hear that for the best fighter this evening, the one who stays on their feet the longest, there's a $20,000 prize.
One of the people accompanying the little girl will go over and place a bet. And we'll just walk back.
But the figure seated basically raises. I think Shayna's going to get a kick out of this. Hey, Shayna.
Yes, my dear.
He raises there's a very shallow sake cup that he raises, and he takes a sip from it before he leaves it down on the table. It appears he made a very, very finely polished china, maybe? For the SD, that's totally bone. And totally bone he took from a very specific person.
Hey, Elliot, this guy would love that, by the way. He is actually the one who trained Roxy how to fight.
Aw, poor little Roxy. She tried so hard. But what you call it? You know what? You know what? Upon seeing Damien, a man very heavily tattooed, walks up towards you and he says, "Excuse me, you're Damien Wolf, yes?"
Dr. Wolf, correct.
My master wishes to have a word with you.
By all means. By the way, something I forgot to note. Damien's expression is calm, too calm. If anyone who knows him, what has recently happened, he shouldn't be that calm, but he's got a surprisingly serene expression on his face. And he will follow the heavily tattooed gentleman.
Austin, you back yet? He may have actually gone MIA getting a drink. Oh, by the way, sorry, brains. For Peter, under the various different Meiji sites, I assume that you pop up as a vampire.
I do.
Okay. Are the people who are with you ghouls or just ordinary goombas?
Ghouls.
How many of them are there?
2. They look like a family. Obviously not when you look at them, but it looks like
That's
mom and
entirely.
dad has taken out their child to underground gambling and fighting den. Something about this is just off. Like, something's wrong here. But then again, there is potentially mortal danger for the people fighting, so lots of things are off here.
So, in that case, in order to facilitate roleplay, anyone who is supernaturally bit will be invited to the VIP area, which is an entirely sealed off area in front of the fighting pit. There we go. So roleplay can happen. Haha, winning. As Mr. Wolf steps forward, the seated figure kind of beckons him forward with very kind of long, black, polished fingernails.
He will draw closer. He's got 2 dots in etiquette, so he'll be on his best behavior.
One hopes that you are well, Mr. or Dr. Wolf. Yes.
Good evening, Lord Sideshow. I think I owe you an apology.
I'm led to understand from how it was explained to me that you've had interactions with an individual whom may indeed have been myself, but myself in a manner that I am not.
Correct. A parallel universe, if one might want to call it that.
An interesting concept. So, the way I view it is that there should be no animosity between us, as I have not done you harm.
If I may, I would officially like to apologize to you. I was informed that you are indeed not a slaver, as that was the case with, let's just say, the other iteration, but something that the locals call a coyote.
He kind of looks at his translator like, the fuck is that? Like, huh? Before there's a kind of a nod and a brief explanation in Japanese, and he raised an eyebrow. He's like, really? They called them that? Okay.
Yes, I was quite surprised as well. Which means my piss and vinegar that I metaphorically threw your direction was unwarranted. So in that case, I would like to apologize. And he gives Saisho a 90 degrees bow.
Saisho inclines his head ever so slightly, and he will say, no apology is necessary as no offense was taken. I hope that you are enjoying my festivities this evening.
I must confess this is my first rave and fight club, as things would seem.
Mine too. It will just come as Ely just walks behind them, just sits down. Well, tries to get up and look over the table. He just sits down on a fairly comfy, like sofa, probably built into the wall. She just sits there, looks around. She seems to take in her surroundings quite intently.
How old does she appear to be?
9, 10 maybe? Looks up at the ceiling, looks at the chairs, looks around.
Austin, you back yet, buddy?
I think we may have lost an Austin.
Damn it. Try, just out of character, try and shoot him a message on Facebook or something.
Yeah, maybe that might be a good idea.
Because that will
But
sometimes pop up on
look,
your phone.
looking at the little girl, Saisho, his expression doesn't change from the very, very blank kind of emotionless facade that he wears most of the time, and he says, interesting. I didn't think that Gaki went after children.
Ah, so you're referring to Kindred.
She just looks at him. What is a gaki?
I would...
The hungry dead.
Oh.
Their
Oh.
word for revenant.
We generally don't.
Yeah, he's right. We do. Well, we don't as well. Yeah, I don't. I don't know who did this. I'm trying to find out.
By the way, good evening, Miss Ellie.
He raises an eyebrow. He raises a single eyebrow and he'll say, and what price do you put on that particular piece of information?
I don't know yet.
He takes up a long pipe. It's like one of those long stemmed Japanese pipes that's lit for him by an attendant. He takes a deep drag from it before he lets the smoke out through his nostrils, and he says, "If you ever find the price that you're willing to pay, come and speak to me. I'll quite happily arrange that information for you."
Good to know. Thanks. There's a smile. She smiles at him. You sure you can find out?
Positive.
Well, that's good.
Time is merely an illusion to one who have mastered time.
Or very creepy, potentially. But hey, I'm not going to judge. It's fine. Oh, hey.
This coming from the walking undead child. Yes, let us speak on the matter of creepy.
She looks at him. She kind of shrugs. I just said, who am I to judge? Doesn't that mean that I just said that?
Indeed. Sideshow looks down into the fighting pit just as the last blow is struck, and an immensely large, kind of black-haired man, very very shaggy, basically downward piles the his opponent. There's a snapping of bone as teeth are flung from the mouth, and the other figure drops unconscious on the ground. He says, "Interesting. No skill, but brutality. There's always a value for brutality."
Damien will just be calmly looking at the sake cup. As an archaeologist, he's well acquainted with bones of many in many different states, and he's just interested, trying to figure out what material that is.
There is a bit of distance, but Ely just walks a little closer to Sideshow as she looks around. Then she looks at him and goes, "Why do people gamble as much as they do in a place like this? I don't get it."
What is there to understand? People wish to gain. They wish to see blood. They wish to gain from seeing blood. It's rather cyclical, really.
Right, but a lot of them are going to be really bad at gambling, and a lot of them are going to lose again and again, going to lose their money.
Yes. Have you never heard the expression, the house always wins?
Yeah, I heard that in a movie once. Yeah. Movies are really great. I like them.
It tends to be true.
Yeah, it don't matter what us poor saps in the ring do. House always wins.
Quite true.
Unless someone were so foolish and would try to cheat.
I take a very dim view of people who cheat.
Agreed.
Because you own this place, right?
Yes and no. I currently operate this establishment, but this is a floating establishment. Ultimately, this was merely an empty warehouse. We will have all of our equipment gone by dawn.
Okay, fair enough. I get it. I can understand
This
that.
city has somewhat draconian laws as it pertains gambling.
Lord Saisha, have you got any favorite when it comes to the pugilists? He says as if it were like the most nonchalant thing in the world.
None of the men here fighting tonight are mine, so he shrugs absent-mindedly. I'm merely here to collect my commission on top of the bets. The way the house always wins quite constantly is we take a percentage of all bets made. So I'm not actually here to win anything personally this evening.
Interesting.
Couldn't you just have people change the laws? Like, if what you said is true and you can control time or do something with time if it's not real relevance, couldn't you go back in time and change the laws of this place so that people can gamble?
You said that you like movies. Have you seen Back to the Future?
No, I haven't gotten to that one yet.
Essentially, yes, time can be altered. However, in altering time, it creates ripples that create chaotic effects. And there are certain entities in question that do not like it when time is altered.
Oh, okay.
Viewing time, as I promised to do with you, is much more easily done. However, changing it, that creates waves.
Well, there are other ways of changing it. You could change
Such
the law.
as,
You
I
could change
could.
the law. You just need to find some politicians.
Ultimately, I have my means of gambling. The fact is, if it became legal, everyone would be doing it, and then I wouldn't make as much money.
Oh, okay. Wait. monopoly, right? Capitalism, monopoly, all that. Yeah, that stuff. Right.
True.
Yeah, I didn't really go to school like you would expect, so yeah, I pick up things here and there.
All right, that is a very, very simple little effect. Pete, question: exactly how old is your character? You could do it down to the minutes and the seconds, but just like how many years old are they?
She is just around 140. One moment, I'll give you the number.
Yep, it's just a very simple little time one effect to actually know what age people are.
Yes, she is 147 years old.
Good lord. Okay. He'll nod and he'll say, ultimately, we are all but the servants of time. Except for you, I suppose, but then again, you can make time. You have more time than most.
She looks at him. There isn't a frown, but she just looks at him. Yeah. Yeah, that's. Yeah. She's about to say something, but she doesn't.
But why, Mr. Wolf? There are two people currently stepping into the ring. One of them is a very large, kind of African American dude covered in gang tats, and the other is more kind of short, white, and wiry, but still has a kind of a build that says he's been punched in the face more times in his life than he'd care to admit. Mr. Wolf, of the two individuals currently fighting, who is it that you would place your money on?
Hmm. Would you hold it against me if I looked with entropy?
I'm asking for your opinion before we bring magic into the equation.
He.
After we can, of course, have a look, but I'm curious as to how you would choose without the knowledge.
Hmm. Interesting.
Ely just
And
puts a hand up.
Yes.
The smaller, scrawnier guy, because he can move fast and can probably move around the ring a lot longer than the other guy. But that's just my guess.
Hey, come on, don't underestimate us big guys. Some of us are deceptively quick.
Just my standard
Sorry,
assumption.
dishwasher exploded. I'm back.
Is the dishwasher feeling better now?
It's no longer leaking in all sorts of places.
Hooray! Oh dear.
No, the dishwasher exploded. I had to fix it.
Okay.
yeah. Okay. Quick
Feel
question.
free.
Just from with awareness and alertness, both at 3 and pretty decent perception, which of the guys looks as older? Or put it that way, who looks as if he's been in more scraps?
Very difficult to tell. The gang tattoos could intimate the fellow has done quite a lot of things in order to advance in the gang to get those tattoos. However, the other person looks as though he's endured more beatings.
Mhm. Damien looks for a bit and then goes, I'll go with the light-skinned fellow. He looks as if he's been through more scraps and survived them. That is my rationale.
Would Winrate like to join us now?
Yes. Winrate will make his way out of the crowd, kind of looking around, and he'll just be taking people's bets and making notes on his wrist top computer, just assigning. And then he will look at the fighters And then he'll nod to Saisho.
If nothing else, I don't believe that these Americans actually understand the art of combat. I think that they just bet on whomever looks more intimidating. They don't care about skill, they care about flash.
A dangerous strategy to take.
There's something to be said about panache.
Quite so.
He'll pull a pen or a laser pointer out of his pocket and he'll start rolling it between his fingers. Just most people go for what looks the biggest, the brightest, and the best.
But looks can be so deceiving.
They can be.
In fact,
just have
in
to
my
know how to look.
experience, yeah, good point. But in my experience, at least 50% of the time, things are not as they seem.
Nothing's ever as it seems. Ever, ever.
I would argue that if you trust your eyes to tell you the truth, then you're trusting the worst kind of lie.
Is it just because you're mages that you talk so weird?
What do you mean?
Head tilt. And then,
Just
who said that? Elliot?
It's Ellie.
Ely, or
That's
yeah,
Yeah,
Ely.
you have Elliot and Ely in the scene. I am NPCing Elliot.
Yeah,
Okay, so Ely is the one.
Ely is maybe 9, 10 years old. So, and she's just looking at you, and she's just like, I've heard and read some of that stuff in a book, but do you really talk like that?
Sometimes. When it conveys the proper message. Other times we're straightforward. But honestly, if I were to break down how the universe really works, your brain might melt out your ears.
I'm not interested, so it's okay.
In Korean, Sideshow turns to Winright and says, "It's interesting, isn't it? All the time in the world, and yet they obsess over the moment."
Via telepathy to Saisho. Sucker?
Sideshow nods.
Okay. And all you get. Okay.
Just KK. Dot dot. Smiley face emoji.
Yes.
Because if Winray's messages don't appear telepathically as Winray's text speak, I would be angry.
Oh, they that's exactly how they show up.
um,
So looking over at the child. So are you here to bet? Here to fight? Here to watch?
I've never been in a gambling, fighting place before. I've already gambled. Well, one of my parents already placed a bet. It wasn't that fun as I thought it would be. So
Okay.
she just looks at it. I'm quite certain. Would you even allow me to fight?
if you wished.
She looks questioningly. You're going to let a child fight?
You're not a child.
Shut up. You're not just a kid, you little shit.
You're not
Come
just a
on,
child.
like people don't
And
know that.
anyone who wants to step in the ring is welcome to the ring. The ring is kind. The ring is generous.
But what
The
would
ring
the
is
people say?
accepting.
They would be like, "Oh
I'm
no,
going
stop
to
the fight."
assume that
You're also kind of like taps on a wrist-mounted screen.
Specific
I mean, on
powers
appearance
are
alone,
banned.
only banned if you get caught.
He nods.
If you want a no holds barred competition,
You
we
can sign up for
arrange
those
it.
as well. You wanna go wild in a cage? We can reinforce the cage. We can do whatever it is. Set it up. I mean, currently in a no powers match, if you were to enter in, tap 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 against one of the average fighters here, tap 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 tap. There's about a 35-1 payout in your favor.
I was gonna say I will make note that he does have fame 3 for being a cage fighter.
Yes, that's
I'm
what you gave
looking
him
at Ellie.
hilariously a lot.
Uh,
Okay.
Hmm?
oh
He's
no, I'm
looking at
like talking Ellie.
Oh.
Oh no, you Elliot, the fame cage fighter, has a 1 to 1.5 payout.
As you
Against
say that, Ely will just put a hand towards her nose and just begins to wave at him, like at Elliot. Haha, I can make more money than you can.
That's predicated on the fact we believe that he has a higher percentage chance of success.
Yeah,
That
I
was just
suppose.
an average fighter. Depends on who you're actually fighting.
Yeah, that's also true.
He looks at Elliot and he says, for example, if you were to face me in a no holds barred match, and if you were to beat me, I'd give you $500,000. I'd give you $500,000.
He nods. I don't think I like my chances against a mage. I'm just a neonate.
I have no idea what that is in context. Make a note of that, number.
Noted.
I
Kind
think
of
it's
leans
Latin.
into. I was gonna say leans into to the other Oh shit! In this iteration, is Jason? Are you still an orphan, or did you go with a trad?
Officially, he counts as an orphan until at least one of the 2 initiation rituals have been performed.
Okay, he leans into him and he just says, "Do you know what a neonate is? I have no idea."
Out of character, neonate is a Latin word, I think.
I believe so.
If so,
Means
my
young.
guy has got 3 dots in academics, meaning he has Latin, and he would simply whisper back in a calm voice, "Neonate is Latin, and it is not quite. How should I say? The English word would probably be something along the lines of fledgling or initiate. Somebody who's only managed to get like the first
It means
degree."
I've been dead for less than 70 years.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Winrate, update the database.
Head tilt to the side. Returns.
But that's interesting. So you base your social standing upon the amount of times you have spent post mortem.
He nods. There's other factors too, but
Considering this young lady is 107, was it 140 or 170? 140.
147.
Considering this young lady is 147, 8 months, 36 days, he just gives the entire list. Does she count as something else?
he nods.
How do you know it's so precise? I didn't even know that precise. Can you say that again? And she will get something to
Give,
write on.
He will say it exactly again.
Yeah, you'll notice that she will actually take the current date and begin to calculate backwards exactly what date it was. And she looks at that and she goes, "Hey, thanks a lot. This really helps. Thanks." But she pockets
You're
it.
welcome.
She smiles. All right, I'm gonna have to. Actually, I'm gonna have to go look at this. All right, it was nice meeting you all. Goodbye. And yeah, she will just begin to leave.
Goodbye, Ellie.
The Saishu just sits in his chair. He doesn't seem to pay much attention. He looks at the. You were both indeed correct. The African American gentleman with all the tattoos is worn down by the much faster younger man until his leg is kicked out from under him. The younger man finishes by jumping onto his shoulders and smashing his head repeatedly off the ground until death.
Damien watches the spectacle without any change or
Peter
showing
will
of
go to bed.
emotion.
Sorry to interrupt, but Peter will go to bed.
All right.
Sleep well.
I will reach out to you later, Peter. I'm spending a willpower to right click you.
What? Oh, it's a mage thing?
Mage wrote. Basically, it's a scan
Okay.
for basically how much energy you have, live, dead, and then the magic goes digging into all sorts of weird records.
If the records exist and are digital.
If they are recorded, not necessarily digital.
Oh, okay. Cool. But
I can,
Hmm?
with just thinking, I don't think there are really any records of her. Not official ones. But I'll get to that.
Yeah. It's also stuff like if her face has ever appeared on a security camera somewhere.
Okay, yeah.
I get stuff like that.
Okay. But yeah, we'll get back to that. I have to sleep.
All right, you get sleep. I'll reach out later. Winrate looks at this device on his wrist, and he just tap 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 tap. It's and I'll look over it. The SciShow. Payments have been distributed.
good. I think that tonight has been a suitably profitable venture. We should do this again.
I'll find us a better location. This works, but too close to residential homes. There are a few industrial districts where we can get better access. One next to a train yard.
I could do nicely. As I said, we'll have all of the equipment and etc. pulled out before dawn. Fascinating. He lifts his sake cup to his lips again and takes a sip.
Lord Sideshow, do I estimate correctly that sake cup is made of bone?
Yes.
Interesting.
I thought I was morbid. Shit.
May I ask from
More.
which kind of being the bone came from?
What was the name of the gentleman in question?
Donovan Asaro.
It belonged to the late Mr. Donovan Asaro.
see a huge fucking smile cross Elliot's face.
Ah,
You killed him, huh?
I did.
and made a drinking
Enough
vessel.
time.
He
Probably from
extends a
your skull.
hand.
Ah. Sasha will take the hand.
He shakes his hand. I would like to say thank you.
Why?
Man was a prick. I taught his daughter how to fight.
Interesting. Fascinating. I made him an offer to join my organization. He accepted my offer, but I have no place for cowards. He begged and squealed like a pig for his life. It was unbecoming.
Didn't shock me. He was a little bitch.
As you say.
Which one was this again?
He contemplates for a moment. He says he was an underworld figure. At the moment, our organization is busy cannibalizing the remains of his assets.
Oh no.
He was a human trafficker. Let's not mince words.
There's a shrug. He died because he was a coward. And as I said, I have no place for cowards. He also had the Monet that you've got hanging in the bathroom. He says, looking at
Ah.
Winraid.
I see.
I liberated his art collection before I left.
Glad you didn't burn it. The
That
collection
would
was
have been a
impressive.
waste.
It would be an awful waste.
A shame the public won't get to see them.
They were never meant to.
Debatable, but I'll just agree to disagree with you.
Things that have
If
been.
it helps,
Winrate stops when Saisho begins to speak.
if it helps, their previous owner had them locked in a vault in some kind of safe. At least our guests will be able to enjoy them.
In that case, it behooves me to have a good look before the night is over.
Oh, they're not here. They're in our compound.
Ah, pardon. I misunderstood something.
Tis alright.
But yes, a sake cup from the skull of your, well, traditionally one would say enemies, but I wouldn't want to accredit him too much. You said the fellow was a coward.
He was no threat to me. He was not worthy to be considered an enemy.
I see.
That is an honor where I come from.
May I be so bold to venture that you are from the land of the rising sun?
I am. Though I come here via many different paths, I've spent most of my life growing up in East Asia, from Indonesia to through Thailand, Macau, Korea. I am somewhat of a polyglot of nations.
I see. Probably the magical traditions there are quite different than to us in the West, I would gander.
You'd be correct.
It depends. I've run into a number of technomancers who are at least on the right track. But the network here is so slow. It's very disappointing. I'm gonna have to do local upgrades.
A shame 4 or 5G is not a thing yet.
Huh.
What's not a thing?
High
Wireless
data
networks.
high data transfer to wireless networks.
Correct.
Oh,
He
it
shrugs.
is absolutely a thing. Just most systems handle it. You just have to pick up the right one.
I see. Fascinating. Thank you.
And no store-bought device that you can purchase will operate on it.
Well, good thing for me that I know myself some technomancers.
All fucking Greek to me, man.
He just smiles. You may know some technomancers, but how many do you know that specialize in quantum data processing?
Now that is a secret I will keep to myself.
As a bit of advice, I would always recommend you make yourself openly useful and straightforward. Otherwise, risk of making yourself disposable.
Don't worry. I am plenty useful. And I've got more talents than most people give me credit for.
He'll smile. You have talents, you say, and you're useful.
Yes,
You're a doctor of what, Mr. Wolf?
of archaeology.
Interesting.
Specialization, prehistory.
Fascinating.
Well, someone has to know where we're coming from, so I prefer to look at where we're going.
The past is good to inform current decisions, but the present has its own charms.
I'm one of the forerunners in data transmission and artificial sentience.
Impressive. All the time, Damien has been speaking relatively monotone. No emotions have really been showing up. Yeah, this is basically like the polar opposite to what SciShow saw the last time.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions for you, Jason. Are you currently, because with Prime Sight, are you currently under the effects of any enchantments?
Yes. Well, yes, and he also has a mind shield up, and there seems to be a level 10 mind shield active on his person.
Mm-hmm. And what's the enchantment?
It seems to be the effects of a rote, and it seems to be coming from Damien himself. It doesn't seem as if the effect is external. It seems to be internal.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Is it keeping you artificially calm?
If you would have to guess, It is. It is something that SciShow probably would have actually experimented around at some point. It's a mind effect to basically issue the emotions to a different part of the brain, so that what is in the forefront is cold, calculating, purely logical.
Sideshow has that particular ability in the form of a flaw because he has icy, which means, what are these emotions you speak of?
He has
So does
that,
Winrate.
but not as a flaw.
Winrate also has
technically.
IC.
So yeah, that's that. It seems to be self-induced.
Hmm.
And from his pocket you hear, "Forerunner my ass! You forget to feed me, asshole!" And he looks down. That's because you have access to drive-through menus. And delivery. You can do it yourself, and you have other people's credit card numbers.
Good thing I don't.
And again,
have a
from the
credit
pocket you
card.
hear, "But you're supposed to feed me!" He looks down again. "I've given you the means to take care of yourself. Now you can act like a grown-up."
Elliot is just kind of like, what the fuck?
Creepy mages being creepy.
Sorry. My dragon was getting uppity.
A luck dragon, by any chance?
Again, from the pocket. "If you're lucky, you'll never see me."
Not a luck dragon, then.
"I'll win the lotto every time I play."
Fucking mages. Weird fucking shit.
It's Damien turns his head to Elliot and just calmly says, "It's all relative."
Yeah, true. Especially with the broken mirror and they fucking talk to themselves, so.
Fascinating. Probably not of Clan Toreador or Nosferatu.
Data flag, data flag,
Nah, Nazis are just ugly as fuck.
data flag.
And Toreadors tend to be the pretty ones.
Data flag.
Or at least they seem to lure their prey with their outward appearance.
And so what great cage fighter might you be? Obviously not a mirror. Or Nosferatu, or
I'm one of the
Toreador.
angry ones.
The angry ones. Data flag. Excellent.
Maybe they would have called you an Asura in another part of the world.
When was his last cage fight?
His last cage fight was about 3 years ago.
What's his record?
10-0. Or it was before he kind of dropped off the map.
Huh. He'll kind of tilt his head to the side. Any particular reason you stopped fighting?
Yeah, I can't go out in the daytime anymore.
We can host fights at night. We tend to. I'm sure you'd like to get back in the ring, get that proverbial blood pumping again.
I may have to take you up on that. Most of what I've been doing is the illegal shit now. So.
Kindred blood tends to be more enriched with prime energy than that of humans.
Data flag, data flag, data flag.
What the fuck is Prime?
It is. And he'll stop for a hard second. How to. Huh. And
Trying to explain Prime to a Bruja with 2 intelligence.
and you see, like,
Sorry.
he has you can see a very grand formula, like, in his brain. Like, he's getting ready to go on a, wait a minute, no, no. And it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller, 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 smaller. Magical go-go juice that makes up the world.
Good enough. Yeah, Elliot is strong, not smart.
Right. I figured. Big like, strong like, smart like.
He is big and angry.
How big?
6'4", probably somewhere between 250 and 300 pounds.
Fair. Good head and shoulders above win rate.
And I just had to choose Manu Bennett because Manu Bennett's fucking amazing.
It is my intention to, in a few weeks' time, hold a grand cavalcade for the more eclectic and unusual in the city, in order to test their physical mettle against one another in a covenant of their peers for financial remuneration, a tournament of the fist, if you will. I will be offering $1 million for the winner of this supernatural only event.
So generous.
Yes.
Count me in.
What an excellent way of assessing others' abilities and limitations. And he gives Sideshow.
I have about one other
nod.
NPC who would be interested, but he might be a little overpowered for this.
I mean, Sideshow will fight him.
I mean, do you really want to fight the 6th gen Bruja Elder?
I mean, do you really want to fight Sideshow?
And by overpowered, I'm talking, strength, celerity, or celerity potence and fortitude at 7.
I'm still going to say, you really want to fight Sideshow?
Yeah,
Nah, I'm not. Yeah, no, I am that egotistical about Sideshow. Who the fuck am I kidding?
Yes, you are. Don't even lie.
I mean, yeah, it's all fine. Don't worry about it. Nothing is on fire.
yet.
I take it, Lord Sasha, that you would be participating in this tournament?
I have yet to decide. Win rate keeps saying it would skew the numbers if I was to.
Towards your
Substantially.
benefit or towards your loss?
General table odds.
I
Also,
see.
we've yet to figure out who all's going to sign up. Yet to determine brackets. Single elimination. Fight to yield or non-continuance.
Good point. It seems the traditions are a bit more antagonistic towards each other. Probably wouldn't be conducive for business if individuals would take that as an excuse to start, well, for the lack of a better word, a sectarian war amongst themselves.
The only thing that matters is the bracket and progression in the tournament. Any business you have beyond that is none of our concern.
Oh, it doesn't really concern me that much. Guess I'm just trying to make myself useful. And he tries to smile, but it's artificial as hell.
In that case, unless there's anything else anyone else particularly wants to do, I think that we've reached a natural, good stepping off point.
I believe so.
Yes.
So that will do the outro. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. This has been another scene for Unmask Orlando. We'll see you next time.